Hello. Before the film starts, I'd just like to make a quick announcement. During the film, you will see images and perhaps some moving footage of my good self wearing neither a hat nor shades. I apologise. This was not the quality nor the quantity. Moreover, it was the mixture of exuberance and youth. Now, during the film, I should be talking a little bit about some of my inspirations. But what greater inspiration can there be than to know that somebody is watching one of these videos and looking at my images? So I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking every viewer and every subscriber. And if I have an objective for these films, it's that I can share the tranquility I feel when I come to places like this. With that said, let's move on to the film, and I can feel myself travelling back in time.
What's this? Ambition, 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 ambition.
welcome to 2024, my year in still photography. And some of the themes are going to be a little bit different from previous years, because some of the still photographs you will see were not taken in 2024. With a little more time on my hands, I've been able to work through my archive of film and slides. Curious, there was definitely water there a moment ago, just not that much. So, where was I? Delving into the archives, I think. My library of creative photography now spans decades. And the chance to reflect on all of that took me on a journey in addition to anything I might have done in the van. The opening sequence to this film was a different kind of journey altogether. It's a collection of memories from a different aspect of my life. And although I may have attempted some creativity in there, that was more of a document of history. Whereas photographs I've made outside of work have been more about inspiration and influence, and an expression of how I feel about the different environments I visit. I've given this video the subtitle of Journeys and Inspirations. So, having seen an aspect of my journey through life, my next sequence will be some of the journeys I've undertaken in 2024. After that, I'm going to talk more about inspiration. Now, as spectacular as this scenery is, there's nowhere to put my stick so I can do a poignant walk away. So I'm going to have to go back to the canal side. And that canal is part of the Shropshire Union, where I filmed 3 back-to-back episodes for the channel on 3 consecutive days. At the time of recording, September 2024, I plan to put those episodes out in January 2025. So back to my former self, somewhere on the England-Wales border in the Shropshire Union Canal. I say many more places, but it feels like perhaps there weren't enough. I think there's good and bad in saying that. If I feel like I want to do more, it's a sign that I'm inspired. On the other hand, feeling like I haven't done enough implies I put a pressure on myself. And feeling under pressure isn't a good space to be in if you want to be creative or inspired. If I were to describe every inspiration I have for creative photography, it'd be a bit longer than one film. And I'm not even sure I'm capable of describing them all. So for this video I've narrowed it down to two very different inspirations. And ultimately take me to the same place, I suppose. Let's take this beach for example. I come here a few times a year. I really like it. I love walking here. And I've made photographs here of what you might describe as the bigger landscape. But as I walk, I also start to notice the detail here. The timbers behind me are weathering in a beautiful way. There's such intricate detail there, form, structure. There's pebbles, there's shells, there's sand. Plant life, flowers, even in November. And birds, of course. People often leave pebbles and shells on top of those wooden posts as a testament or a witness to their presence, perhaps. Other details can be a lot more personal. The more I approach nature and the environment to photograph it, the more I notice and the beauty. And I find myself led to moments of tranquility and peace. From a creative point of view, the final image that I make may often be more about what was excluded than what was left in. I'm going to show you 3 photographs from this year which explain what I mean. So in the first, it's very clearly a picture of a bird, but it's quite small in the frame and there's lots of detail, perhaps even chaos around it. Although it's quite sharp, it's ultimately just a picture of a bird in a tree, beautiful though the bird is. In the second photograph, there's quite a lot of detail of a plant, but there's also a notion of its surroundings and the adjacent vegetation. So it has a context, if you like. In the third one, we're very much on top of the detail. There's very little else you will see around the immediate subject. That is, I suppose, where you see the pure form and intricacy of nature. And it's in those last 2 examples where I find my greatest inspiration. Once you get hooked on it, this kind of photography is so immersive and so rewarding. There are moments of distilled tranquility while doing it. I also experience similar moments when listening to music. And it's from the world of music that I've taken the title for this next selection of photographs. I bought an album many years ago by the band Joy Division, and I soon found myself drawn into so many moments of connection with that music. Maybe they're a band you wouldn't immediately associate with peace and tranquility, but I disagree. Now, the title of that album is Closer, and that's a pretty clever title. It's not close, it's not too close, it's closer. After this selection of photographs, you join me on another beach for a very different kind of inspiration. What a handsome guy. He does, however, need to do some research on headgear options. This beach has perhaps changed over the years, as have other things. Now, if there was something which was very much excluded on purpose from my last set of images, that would be the sky. The sky will feature very much in the next journey of inspiration. For my next inspiration, I can tell you exactly where it happened and when it happened. It was a moment that changed my life creatively. In 1986, on the west coast of an island off the west coast of Canada, I was introduced to the work of Roy Henry Vickers, an extraordinary artist. It's not just about artwork. Behind it there's a philosophy and a spirituality, as well as a closeness to the environment, which has remained with me since then. Now, I cannot and will not reproduce that work here. That would be wrong. I can, however, show you an example of my own work which embraces many of the elements in the artwork which I saw on that day. Now, it's a feature of the artwork often that there are very vibrant colours, starkly contrasted with the silhouette of the landscape. People are often seen going about their business, and the creatures with whom we share the earth are also going around their business. But perhaps one of the things which struck me most at the time was that within the imagery there was a representation of those who have been on this earth before us, as well as perhaps the creatures that have been here as well. And that for me comes together in a completeness, a wholeness of the image. And that thought has inspired me to this day. Now, I remember asking at the time, well, surely those colours, that vibrancy can't be real. And the answer I received was actually, in fact, yes it can. And sure enough, just a few hours later, I experienced that for myself. Now, complete transparency here, my younger, more exuberant self perhaps wanted to copy that style a bit too closely, and that may be evident in some of the images I took straight afterwards. However, when I returned to more familiar scenery, I slowly changed my style and adapted, whilst never losing sight of that moment. So the first couple of images you will see will be of me outside the gallery, after having seen the work for the first time. Now, immediately after that, there'll be some images taken in the hours after that visit to the gallery. While the rest of the sequence will be jumping backwards and forwards in the years, with all of the images keeping that inspiration and that journey at the very core. Now, the title I've given to this next set of images is quite easy to think of. There is a book featuring the artwork of Roy Henry Vickers and one of the pieces itself. It's a title steeped in an irony which only a few who know me will understand. So my next sequence is inspired by The Elders Are Watching and Roy Henry Vickers. back to the stunning Kent coast and to the end of the film. Now that last inspiration is one I might like to talk about an awful lot more in the future. That could be quite difficult, but having started, you might say I feel inspired. I wish you the season's greetings, and I hope you're able to spend this period in peace and in a way of your choosing. That was 2024, my year in still photography, including a bit of a delve into the archives in the past. I have been your avuncular host. Thanks for watching.